Hey, what's going on, guys? Um, so, Recently I kind of decided to get back into doing some official iRacing races just to get my iRating up for when we do the endurance races. Um, and I happen to have a really good encounter with another very good driver that I think um, is a perfect example to use to I guess teach I wouldn't just say the basics, but the the essence or the logic of all racecraft. Um, this guy was actually probably about like 2 seconds a lap slower than me. Um, I qualified P4, but I locked up going into turn one here at Barber. Um, on the second lap tires are so cold. And I honestly don't even know why I locked up. It didn't even have high brake percentage or anything, but it happens. um, so I ended up literally dead last, and I ended up fighting back through the field back to P12 when I finished. But anyway, so this was one of the guys in the back that was going past. So he was on a much slower pace than me, but he 100% knows how to race. His racecraft is really good. So this is a perfect example to show both the defense in racecraft, or the like defensive racecraft, and then for me, um, offensive racecraft. Um, so and so I'll just start back here. You can see uh, our pace difference too, just to show you. So um, I'll even speed it up a little bit. And you can see how far ahead he is, but I'm still only gaining on him. And within a lap, I've taken out most of the gap. Um, so you can see the difference in pace that we had. All right, so I think I'm going to use this chase view to show you what he does defensively. And I think I'll primarily use cockpit view to show you what I do offensively because um, as I tell you the decisions I'm making, I think it makes more sense from cockpit view where you can see where I gain on him a lot in a braking zone or in a corner exit or something. It's a little easier to see from cockpit view. All right, so let's see what happens here. So right now I'm far enough away where he's not really doing anything yet. First thing actually I noticed there is that I'm definitely a little better on the brakes than him. He right now all he did was mess up a little bit on his entry, and also on this turn I noticed that he early apexes it. So if you see where he's turning in, that's his apex basically, and now he's going out. For me, this is my apex. All right. So to begin with, I can already see that I um I take this corner much better than he does. And in general, you're basically going to see that it's not as much necessarily in the braking zones, but because some braking zones he's actually good, but I can carry way more corner speed than him, and I um I have way better exits primarily because I have a better line than he does. Um, so I think this is the first time he's gonna go defensive. So I'm gonna get a way better exit, and as you can see, I already got a run on him. But what does he do? He covers the inside, and that's just textbook. But another thing, I just want you to notice here is that when he makes that decision, so first of all, we're tracking out, and as you can see, I'm going to his right, and I'd like to get over there, but I want to point something else out, that I don't immediately go all the way to the right side of the track. Why? Because number one, you don't know if the guy knows Racecraft well or not, knows how to be defensive or not. So if I go straight to the right side of the track when everyone knows the line here is on the left side, you're basically tipping him off. So if it's someone who isn't experienced and doesn't know Racecraft well, he's gonna be like, oh, he's gonna go around me on the right side. So he, as you can see, up until this point, I didn't pass his rear bumper yet. So if this guy had tracked out to the left, and I went straight to the right, he would have figured it out and quickly come back over and covered me on the right side. So that's why I didn't immediately go to the right, but obviously that was my intention at the tracking out here, was slowly kind of drift to the right, but I stayed close enough to him where I was trying to gauge how well, he knew how to defend. Obviously, he knew to stay to the right because otherwise I would have the inside line going into the next turn. And in general, I'd like to point out that that is what you most of the time want to do when you're trying to pass. And you'll see eventually when I actually make the pass, it will be on the inside. And some of you may be thinking, but you can also pass on the outside. And what normally happens is you'll see I set up the pass on the inside from the outside on a previous turn. The pass can take 2, 3, even 4 corners. So usually you're never actually passing on the outside, because at the end of the day, the outside is a longer line. The end of your pass will almost always be on the inside. I'm not going to say literally always, but almost always it's going to be on the inside, because basically what you can do is you can block them. You can make sure that you compromise their exit so that they can't get the run on you on the next corner, even if it means tracking out more quickly or something. Your pass is almost always going to be on the inside. And so normally when you're being defensive like this guy is right now, you want to make sure you cover the inside. So there's nothing really I can do. But what I did want to point out is, do you notice how I went back to the left, and I went all the way to the left. Why? Because there's absolutely no point in us compromising both of our lines. As in, if I stayed, let's say, in the middle of the track so that he had to stay further to the right, what's going to happen going into the next corner? Number one, there's a possibility of us coming together. And then number two, his line is obviously completely compromised, but then so is mine. So what am I gaining? Nothing. He's on the inside, he's still ahead of me. There's nothing I'm really going to be able to do, so I might as well go back online. And that's the ideology that you want to think about for corners where you have an opportunity to then get a good exit and get the run on the next straight. I remember at the end of the day, racing is drag racing from corner to corner. That's basically what it is. In this case, there is no straight after this right-hander. So it's just getting back on my line, and just at this point I know I'm going to be tucking him behind him. So what he also does is to not compromise his line completely. Since I moved back over to the left, you can see he slowly drifts back over to the left to open up his line as much as possible. I'm just going to tuck in behind him here, and again, if you see what I did, I moved over to the left a little bit. Why? I want to try to get a run out of this corner. So I want to take as late of an apex so that I can get on the throttle as soon as possible. Okay? And that's exactly what happened. But I want to show you something real quick. Let's go back into cockpit view here. I want to show you what I noticed right now. Do you see how quickly he just comes up on me? And at this point, I would have normally gone full throttle. And as you can see by the throttle trace on the left side here, I'm not at full throttle because he exited so much slower than me. But at the same time, if you look at what I'm looking at here, I can't do anything about it. I have to stay behind him, because if I try to open my steering to the left side, I'm going to have to lift off anyway in order just to make the corner, and I don't have the room to the inside. There's really nothing I can do at this point except just stay behind. Okay? And now going into this corner, as you can see, I immediately learned right now that I take this corner way faster than he does, because of how much I gained between here and here. And honestly, this corner is very tricky in this cup car with no traction control or anything. If I lifted here, there's a very good chance of spinning the rear. So I actually purposely keep my throttle on, and I just didn't go full throttle so that I didn't understeer very far out wide. But I took the grass and used the grass to slow myself down. So, one, make sure, whenever you are, because the thing is that I didn't know how much faster I was in that corner until this lap. All the other laps, I was just gaining on him, but you really can't tell how much faster you are everywhere until you are very close. So just be careful when you're coming up on a slower car, because again, a slower car most likely doesn't have very good racecraft skills, but this guy 100% knows how to race. But he is also much slower than me. So just be careful, basically. And there are instances where that may happen, where out of nowhere you just it almost feels like a brake check. It's like you're like, whoa, I didn't realize he was going that much slower there. So just be careful of those moments when you are coming up on someone that is slower than you, but you are, racing them, for position. Let's go back here. Okay. So I backed off a bit, but again here, as you can see, I don't even need to switch the cockpit. You can see how much I just gained on him through there. So obviously I also learned that I am a lot faster than him through this section. But I'll tell you right now, as it happened to me with some other cars, it's just the way Barber is, because a lot of these, you got to know if there's a corner, if you can do something else. If you can, would actually kind of like back here, how I said I went a little further to the left to try to get a good apex and a good run on him. You got to know when a corner, if a corner like that would make sense, because I still had an opportunity here. He could have not tracked out if he, really wasn't a good driver, stayed to the inside, and I could have had the run on him on the outside, So I took the opportunity. But you got to know when a corner has an opportunity, when it doesn't. In this case, I've come up on cars here where I brake way later here, and just like here, yeah, see I'm gaining on him, and I come right through here, carry the corner speed, gaining on him. There are cars where I almost rear-ended them, like right at this part, on this turn-in, I carry a lot of speed into here, and the car was so much slower, I almost rear-ended him, so you got to be careful. So I know I'm faster than him here, but I'm already kind of making the decision that this entire section of the last like 3-4 corners and these two, I kind of pretty much at this point made a decision, this is not where I want to make the pass. And this is what you have to do when you've come up on a car that you want to pass and you know you can, but you end up with a car like this guy who knows how to race. You have to watch how they drive, you have to watch where they drive, and decide where you want, not only where you're faster, because I'm pretty much faster at every corner on this track than this guy, but you have to decide where you want to make the move. Alright? So, I'm gaining on this guy here, and at this point, I'm basically just deciding that I have to sit on his bumper there. But as you can see, I'm coming out wide here, because I want to make sure I'm tight here, because what are we coming up on? We are coming up on a very big, long front straight. So if I can get a very good exit out of here, the plan is to beat him to turn 1, right? and I don't need to switch to cockpit view. You can see that I could tell where I was gaining on him, and you know, I pretty much already made that decision for turn 1. Now what does this guy do? Now look, there's actually no, let me switch back to cockpit because I want you to see how much better of an exit I get. And this is again it's just, you know, confirming my you know my view of where I can beat this guy. So look at my corner exit here. And I don't know if you look at my throttle trace right here, if I didn't have a car in front of me, right here I would have been full throttle, and I couldn't because of him. And even then, as you can look at the throttle trace, I went full throttle, but I lifted because otherwise I would have rear-ended him. Again, this guy was good enough to make sure, because he knew I was going to try to get a good exit because I've gotten good exits on him before. He knew to make sure that he fully tracked out, but look at what he's already doing. You can see which direction is his car pointing. I just tracked out, but he's already made a decision here, which if you're on the defense, you're going to have to make the same decision. He goes straight to the inside. But, well, so first of all, he goes straight to the inside because he knows that even if I don't have the run on him because I had to lift there, so we're going about the same speed, I am close enough right now where if I was on the inside and he didn't cover the inside, I could easily outbrake him into turn 1. So he's covering the inside, but he's checking to his mirrors to see if I'm moving to the inside, and since I'm not, he's not going far to the, you know, further into the inside. He is, you know, just he's covering enough to know that he's telling me, I know you want to look to the inside, I'm not going to let you. Meaning right now, if I quickly shifted over to the inside, he's still in front of me, he would just quickly shift over to the inside and cover me. And if, you know, we went back to the right and he went back to the right to block, let's pretend I did have the run, as we know that's blocking. Number one, I don't have the run on him. Because I had a lift before, we're going about the same speed. 2, he wouldn't do that. He wouldn't come back to the right. He would just stay covered on the inside. If I actually did have a run, and it would be perfectly legal, completely fine. But again, he sees I'm not moving because I've decided that there's no point because he'll just cover me off. So I would rather take my racing line. He's already compromised his by being a little to the left, and make sure I get a good exit again. So that's what I'm gonna do. He's gonna stay there. I'm trying to get a good exit. And as you can see, I came very far to the inside because what I'm thinking right now is let me open up the next corner. The next corner, if I can get on throttle very, very early, then I'm thinking maybe I can beat him to the hairpin. Okay? And this is kind of alluding to what I mentioned in the very beginning, where most passes are made on the inside. If you think someone's passing on the outside, most likely they're not going to be able to fully make the pass then. It's going to be later on the inside, but you can set up your inside pass on the outside. And that's essentially what I'm trying to do here. And remember what I said, your pass doesn't happen in one corner. Your pass happens over 2, 3, 4 corners. It can take time to make the pass. And not only that, it takes time in terms of laps. So, what lap are we on right now? 8? I think I started you off on lap 6. I basically got on him on lap 7, and we've already done a whole lap, and now we're on to lap 8. I don't think I make my pass to lap 9 or 10, so just watch here. So, I'm on the outside. And as you can see now, I start my turn in, and I'm trying to go full throttle as soon as possible. He can't be full throttle because his steering is not opened up as much as mine is. I have a much better line here. So, I'm gonna try to get the run on him here, and I'm gaining on him, but it wasn't enough. And as you can see, he gets back on the racing line. Why? He wants to make sure that he's not compromising his exit for no reason. And I am very far back. I did have some pace on him, but not enough. And he doesn't think I'm Verstappen at Abu Dhabi, who's gonna lunge from all the way back here and just expect him to be Hamilton and get out of the way. So he gets back on his racing line because I'm just not close enough at this point. But again, he early apexes, I late apex. I always get a good run, and at this point, I can't do anything. I couldn't get on throttle as fast as I wanted to because he was in my way, and he's gonna do the same thing. He's just gonna and by the way, I don't know if you could see that from this view. Where is that? So I'm trying to make sure I get my late apex, and there, right here, I as you can see with my throttle trace, I slowly got on throttle. If there was no car in front of me, I would have been full throttle. It's just what you have to do when the car's in front of you. There's nothing I can do. There's nothing I could do to like make my turn tighter and try to go full throttle on the inside because my steering wheel is turned more, so I can't go full throttle sooner, and there's no room on the outside of him. There's nothing I can do. Sometimes the car is just in your way. It's a slower driver and he's gonna be in your way. You just have to think about everything that I've been talking about just to know when you can do something, Alright, so again, he's just going to make sure that the inside is covered, but not compromise his line at all. And now if you remember, what did I learn from the previous lap? He's slower than me, but at the end of the day, he knows where to block me, so there's really not too much I can do. I've pretty much already decided I'm not going to try in any of these corners. I want to stay back, because there's the risk of me just being way too quick and running into him. Now I know we're approaching that front straight, so again, I'm going to just try to see if I can pass him there. So I'm going to open this up a little bit. Make sure I'm to the right here so I can get a nice run on him here. And same thing, he covers the inside. I did get a little bit of a run on him. If I was on the inside, I could have totally outbraked him. Didn't happen. But now again, this is where I had pretty much already decided that this was my best opportunity. I can't necessarily make the pass here, but if I am to the outside here, I know we're going to be coming up on a hairpin where I will then be on the inside. So I made sure I got a good exit out of turn 1, and I take the outside, and this time I stay on the outside. Just so that he can't track out. There's nothing he can do. I just stay on the outside. And yeah, I was looking to the inside, so I hit the grass there. But at this point, there's nothing he can do. I make sure I brake nice and late. And that's it. I covered him off. And I make sure I still try to get a good exit. And that's it. Pass is made. And okay, we're on lap 9. So, it took over 2 laps. And every lap, I just kept learning. I kept learning where I was better and where he was worse than me. I learned where on the track I need to be careful because of his slower pace. The corners that are coming up now, I really didn't want to try to even... There's no point in trying to get a good exit and getting a run on him if all I'm going to do is end up rear-ending him just because of how the corners are shaped, So like this, second half of the track, whatever you want to call it, I decided I'm not going to try to make a move. It was all between essentially the front straight, turn 1, and this hairpin where I knew were my best opportunities to try to pass him and how to pass him. You gotta see, number 1, do they know the racing line well or not? This guy knew where cars wanted to be. He just couldn't drive the line well because he was early apexing and stuff. But he knew where cars wanted to be. He knew where cars could make passes, and tried to always cover them off. And I had to learn where I was better, and then where I could get a good run, where I could block him from defending against me, and then making the pass. And so you just want to make sure that over the course of the couple of laps that you're following someone, you essentially make a plan in your head. That's the most important part. Because if you don't have that plan, you're gonna try to make a lunge. You're just gonna, or you're what's gonna happen is you're just gonna end up getting frustrated, and you're gonna end up making the mistake. That's what happens with most inexperienced drivers. Unforced errors. You're gonna get frustrated with the guy that's slower in front of you, and in trying to pass him, you're either gonna take yourself out of the race or both yourselves out of the race. So, um, I really think from everything in these, last couple of laps, this is the essence of racecraft. It's learning. It's not about being a fast driver. He defended very very well, and he's a very slow driver. Um, it's about knowing how people drive and what they're thinking, and knowing how you can overcome whatever it is they're thinking. And then in regards to actually driving, honestly, it's really about getting a pass made on that inside after you got to run on someone at the end of the day. That's really what it is, and it's getting that run. Like you see where they're defending, you see where they're slightly towards the inside. Go really far to the outside, just that you can take a very late apex, which just allows you to get in the throttle that much sooner. And like I said, racing is drag racing from corner to corner, basically. So just figure out how you can be faster than them from one corner to the next, and make sure you can pick out that corner that will allow you to do that when they're on the defensive. Um, yeah, I just thought these couple of laps were a really good teaching moment. So I hope this helps you guys out, and happy racing.